Hi everyone, Shannon here from the Pigeon design team, and today we're going to be painting some galaxy lettering in Procreate. So, you are going to need an iPad along with its compatible Apple Pencil, the Procreate app, as well as a few brushes from the Pigeon letters. So be sure to check out the blog post to find the links for these brushes. So first you're going to start by sketching out the word or phrase that you want to write. I am using the 6B pencil from the Procreate library. Alternatively, if you'd like, you can use a font. And if you'd like to use this exact sketch, I'm going to pop it up on the screen so that you can take a screenshot and import it into Procreate as your reference. Once you finish with your sketch, you can lower the opacity and create a new layer. And then I'm using the Pigeon Letters brush pen to write out the word. So my word is very big in comparison to the canvas, and I find that you can zoom out a bit and it is a little easier to work with. Now, before we move on, I would suggest that you rename your layers, and this will make it a lot easier to follow as we start to add shadows and outlines. So the first layer is the sketch layer that I'm not really going to be using, but I just left it there. And then the next layer is the base lettering layer. Then I'm going to create a new layer on top, and I'm going to clip it to the base lettering, and it's going to be called colors. Then I will be using the mono pigeon brush to add my colors. You can add any colors that you'd like on that layer. I am going to be adding blue, purple, pink, and white, or you can even use different colors for your galaxies. Those are just the colors that I prefer to use. And I'm adding them very randomly. There's no specific way to add these colors. Now we're going to blend those colors together. I've selected the smudge brush and I'm using the watercolor brush from the painting brush set from the Procreate library. And I'm just going to lightly blend those colors together. I just want a really nice simple texture, nothing too realistic, but I don't want it to be smooth. So now we're going to add the shadow. You can do this by duplicating the base lettering layer, and I'm going to rename that one at the bottom shadow, and then I'm going to duplicate it again. On the bottommost shadow layer, you're going to select it and pull it away from the lettering. Then you can merge those two shadow layers together, and to create that drop shadow effect, you're going to fill in the white spaces in between the two shadow layers. So you can do this by dragging and dropping the color from the color circle in the corner, or you can use the selection tool by selecting automatic selection and color fill and just tapping in those white areas. You may find some spaces that are not connected, and I'm going to show you how to deal with that in a minute. But first, if you take a look at the end of this S right here, you will notice that it is black. So when the shadow is on, you can't see the end of the letter. So I just went back in with blue and added it to any of the parts of the letters that were hidden. To fix any parts that are white that you can't fill with either the color drop or the selection tool, you're just going to use the mono pigeon brush to fill in the shadow. For any areas where the shadow is not connected to the letter, you're just going to draw a line following the shape of the letter until it connects to the shadow. So just go around your word and fix any parts that you notice need fixing. Make sure you look at the shadow a bit. You can even hide the layer with the lettering, and that helps sometimes for you to see any areas that you've missed, like right here on the S. And once you have everything filled in, your shadow is complete. So now we're going to add our stars. So create a new layer above the color layer and create a clipper mask. Then I'm going to use Stardust from the TPL grid set, and I'm using white to just add in some stars all across the letters. Then I also went in with the spray noise brush and added just a few more finer stars to certain parts of the letters. So once you're finished with your stars, it is now time to add the outline. So to do this, you're going to duplicate that base lettering layer again, and then just renaming it to outline. Then I'm going to invert, so it will change from black and go to white. And now to create our outline, you're going to go to adjustments and select Gaussian blur, and you're going to blur until you start to see some white showing up over the shadow. And to make your outline even bolder, you're going to duplicate that outline a few times until you get it to the size and the boldness that you want. And once you're comfortable with the outline, you can then merge all those layers together. So here I've just changed the color of the background a bit so that you can see how the outline looks on both sides. Now to make the outline even prettier, I'm going to add in a gold glitter texture from a free stock photo site called Unsplash. I have the app already downloaded, and I just dragged the glitter into Procreate and then clipped it to the outline layer. To finish off the lettering, I'm going to add some highlights. I'm using the mono Pigeon brush, and this is on a new layer above the star layer. And I'm just adding the highlight in the upper right side of the letters, which is the opposite side of my shadows. So the final thing that I want to do is to add a background and some stars behind the lettering, and this will help to create even more depth in addition to the highlights and the shadows that we added. So I just went for a blue, then I used the same brushes that I used to add the stars inside the letters to add some behind. Then I went and I applied a slight Gaussian blur to just take away some of the sharpness of those stars. And here is the final piece, and I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I'll see you next month for another fun tutorial.